Hello everyone, Jules here from Live and Let's Dice, and I want to ask you something. In fact, I'm so passionate about this question that I'm actually going to be kicking down the doors to your flat in Necromunda at 3 in the morning and taking you back to my gaff, sitting you down in a chair with straps and restraints on because I really want you to pay attention. Don't worry about this Inquisitor-shaped logo on my chest. I'm sure I'm just really into fashion. Now the question I want to ask you is, have you ever played Inquisitor? No? Well, good for you, my friend. I'll just turn off all these conversation tools and take you at your word. What's that? They've already warmed up and it'd be a waste of energy to turn them back off again. Oh, sorry, pal. Looks like I don't believe you and it's time for an education. And if you said yes, by the way, well, double torture for you because you are a liar. So let's talk about Inquisitor, one of those Games Workshop projects that those that have played it love it to death, but as an IP has been languishing in the doldrums alongside Dreadfleet, Gorka Morka, and of course everyone's favourite, Gobbo's Banquet. Seriously, play this game. It is broken as f*** and you will have the time of your life. Now, Inquisitor gameplay sees players take on the role of either a member of the Inquisition or as an array of seedy mercenaries, assassins, tech priests, and even a mutant or two, all as they carry out the will of the Imperium, or do so to achieve their own goals. In many ways, you could look at this as the precursor to titles like Kill Team or Warcry, with small warbands battling it out while also looking to secure secondary objectives in order to advance their own personal narratives. Yet while Kill Team and Necromunda offer a vast deal of customization and growth for your character, Inquisitor, well, it took this to a whole nother level, as this wasn't just a tabletop dice game, this was an RPG with tabletop elements, and it was a title that made its mark the moment you looked at its bloody model line, because here, every single character was produced at 54mm heroic scale. This allowed for an insane amount of detail to be put into each and every character, and was basically an excuse for the heavy metal art team to have an absolute field day painting every sweat drop and stubble line on these comparatively monstrous models. Yet this larger scale also complemented Inquisitor's core message, as this wasn't just a tabletop game, it was a role-playing game as well, and these larger models were a means for players to truly inhabit their character. With a D100 dice system, a mechanic that saw you taking individual limb damage, countless upgrades, stealth systems, and close combat where parrying and positioning are key to survival, every single movement feels like a considered choice here. And that's before you add in the near unlimited potential of interacting with your surroundings. Is a sniper harassing you from the other side of a corridor? Or why not access a computer and switch off the lights, making it harder for them to hit you? Is there a wall in your way? Why not ram a loading vehicle into it to see if you can't make a cheeky shortcut? It's all down to you, your GM, and of course, your dice rolls. Oh god, the dice rolls. But you see, there's another key aspect at play here when it comes to your actions. Your speed stat indicates how many actions you can take per turn, and you have to declare them and in which order you're going to do them. For example, you could unsheath your weapon, charge, and fight with 3 speed. But then, and this is a key part here, you have to roll a number of dice equal to your speed, and for every 4 up, you can complete 1 action. And I know what you're thinking, Jules, isn't this going to lead to some people doing something like charging into battle but then being unable to fight, or aiming with their gun and not shooting thanks to poor rolls? Yes. Yes it is, and it's always hilarious. Unless it's happening to you. Now, you can change your action if you pass another skill test and whether your GM is feeling generous, but sometimes your character can act like a total berk after boasting how they're gonna lop off their enemies' heads. Now, I remember as a kid reading scant battle reports on Inquisitor that were presented in White Dwarf and what one would term the early internet, and just being blown away at how games in this format weren't necessarily won by raw strength, but by careful positioning and cunning ploys. Plus, the sight of a full board of 54mm scale terrain was utterly breathtaking. This was a statement piece that was then turned into a statement game. So I know what you're thinking at this point here. Why am I going on and on about an obscure, out of production and thoroughly odd Games Workshop relic that they seem to have little interest in resurrecting? Well, that's because our good friend Doug, whose painting you will have seen a lot on this channel, invited us over to his house to play a game of Inquisitor with a twist. But you see, over the last few months, Doug has been working hard, printing, painting, and converting this monstrously in-depth tabletop RPG experience into something a little more digestible. And recently he unveiled the fruits of his labour to a small group of nerds. Hey, that's us! So this, my friend, is the story of Inquisitor 32mm. The day began, as so many do, with a bunch of excited men getting sweaty about the prospect of Warhammer, and so we gathered in Doug's dining room to be met with a tablecloth-clad structure and a monstrous countdown timer. Doug then presented us with a series of sealed envelopes, each branded with the Inquisition seal, and we were told to pick one. This would determine our character for the mission and came with a quick reference sheet and explanation of our loadouts. Now, as the cloth was peeled back, we were presented with a monstrous, sprawling facility set in the middle of an endless desert. We were then told to open our packs and place our relevant characters on the board. Now, I, however, was cast as the defenders of the facility, and you would be damn right in thinking that I wasn't going to take it easy on my friends. However, before I could rub my hands together with evil glee, the recording began to play, introducing us to the mission. We had been sent there to discover what research was taking place at this facility, and you know that if the Inquisition has been summoned, well, it's likely to not be above board. What this meant was that we had to interact with computer terminals, download whatever data we could, and eliminate all those who stood in our way. After the mission intro finished, the countdown timer sprung into life, with the team having 3 hours to extract as much information as possible before the defenders could delete or destroy any evidence. And here's the best bit. Things started off in the way that many of our Live and Let Dice battles do, with abject and utter failure, as the gang moved to 2 different entrances only to be bested by the skill checks required to open the bloody doors. In fact, Alex, who was playing as a Cadian trooper, botched the door opening so much so that it became sealed for the rest of the game, meaning that 2 whole turns had to be spent moving to a different entrance. Now, while all of this door malarkey was going on, Inquisitor Hal pushed up into the facility, confidently ordering his group to secure the intersection of corridors while he personally moved into another chamber. Except this proved to be a terrible mistake, as on the other side of the door was the facility's operator known as the Guardian. Now, while the Inquisitor did land a hefty blow to the head with his bolt pistol, stunning the Guardian, his 2 Skitarii wards either side of him offered a swift rebuttal in the form of a plasma cavalier to the Inquisitor's abdomen, causing him to bleed heavily and knocked him off his feet, meaning that he would miss the next 2 turns. Yeah, not the best start, but things were about to get worse. As Doug's martyr and Beanie's crazed bioweapon warrior Lazok charged towards the Guardian, on the other side of the base, Alex had broken ranks and was examining one of the pylons surrounding the facility, leading to a rather underhanded comment about how the bolt gun that he was carrying sure would come in handy elsewhere in this game. In the central pod, Lazok charged the Guardian, but as he approached, the mechanized defender rose up on its massive tendrils and started spewing out a noxious gas, causing all members nearby to take a toughness test. Now, Lazok and the Martyr passed, but once more luck was short for the Inquisitor, and he succumbed to hallucinations which led him to believe that he'd actually died. So enrapturing was the Inquisitor's death that Lazok actually believed it to be true and forfeit their turn as they tended to their master. However, this led to the Martyr being freed up to charge headfirst into the tendril beast, and it clobbered the machine so hard that it fell to the floor and skipped its next turn. Desperate to get back into the action, Mark's medic squeezed through a hole in the facility wall and called for the Inquisitor to crawl towards him in order to apply his healing salves. Yet here's a funny moment. The moment that the pair came into contact with one another, I activated a hidden Skitarii warrior who was on the other side of that permanently locked door, and he sprung into action and leveled their hunting rifle at Mark's character and shot with a lacerating wound to the gut, with the special flechette rounds exploding on contact and hitting 2 limb locations at once. It felt good, but it also felt pretty bad. Now, the Martyr, seeing that Lazok was once more ready for action, stepped away from the toppled Guardian and charged headfirst into the Skitarii warrior with the Plasma Cavalier, scoring such a deep wound on their arm that they dropped their weapon and collapsed to the floor. However, before the rampage could begin proper, the countdown timer changed to a desperate-sounding Vox transmission in which we were informed that one of the team was actually working with the facility's defenders, and now was attempting to tie up all loose ends. Could it have been Mark? Could it have been Beanie? Could it have been the Inquisitor themselves? Or maybe, just maybe, it was the man who'd been actively searching for alternate routes into the facility and botching door openings. That's right, Alex's warrior was a traitor, and now the secret was out, she marched into the mouth of the corridor and leveled a bolt gun at her former teammates. Elsewhere, Lazok, now powered up thanks to the Inquisitor whispering their activation kill word, struck the Guardian, causing mild damage on their body and causing them to miss yet another turn. However, the Martyr wasn't so lucky, as when she leveled her flamethrower at the other Skitarii, the Promethium-filled pack on her back exploded, setting the entire room on fire. Meanwhile, Alex's traitor guard took aim, but thanks to unlucky rolling, left just enough of a gap for the Inquisitor to rise to his feet after being healed by Mark, who then, of his dominating will, took control of the mind of the nearby Skitarii guard, forcing them to drop their weapon and kick it away, and then stand defenseless against the coming assault. Now, further down the corridor, more of the Skitarii warriors set up defensive firing lines and started taking pot shots at the Inquisitor team. Yet, it wasn't enough, as the Martyr slew one of their numbers. Alex then took a shot against a nearby barrel, detonating the material inside and knocking the Inquisitor off balance and stunning Lazok. This proved to be a deadly turn of events, as the Guardian, now back in action, grabbed Lazok by the head in their hydraulic clamp and crushed the fighter outright. Seriously, it was like max damage roll, and there ain't much coming back from a squished head. Not even in this game. Yet all was not lost, as Mark toppled the defense of the Skitarii and moved into the room that he was hiding in to access a cogitator. And it was here the tech priest had a daring and brilliant plan. If the Guardian was so tied to the facility, surely that meant that he could be shut down with it. With a perfect skill check, the Guardian faltered and rested on its mecha tendrils as if it were put to sleep, the threat of its domineering presence taken offline completely. Yet the celebration was cut rather short, as a single rifle crack echoed through the hallway, and with a double aim order followed by a trigger squeeze, a hunting rifle equipped Skitarii hit the Martyr in the side of the head, killing her instantly to the shock of everyone in the group. Losses mounting on either side, the Inquisitor pushed the assault, rushing into a corridor to avoid the bolter fire from Alex's traitor. Now inside the room, the pair found grenades as well as the schematics for the facility, and what they found chilled them to their core. You see, the source of the facility's power was a demon host, tethered to an experimental machine which sought to draw energy from the warp itself. Heresy like this would not be tolerated, and they would be damned if they would leave this beast alive. The pair stormed into the cross-section, but Alex was waiting for them, and with a critical hit roll of 0-3, because you've got to get low to do really good damage, and a 99 roll on the hit location, which is the head, and a 27-point damage roll, well, unfortunately, the Inquisitor's head exploded into a mess of viscera. And that meant that Mark's tech priest was alone, bar the sound of coming footsteps. And so, with a personal upload link, he sent as much information as possible before the timer ran out, as did his luck. The Imperium did receive part of his transmission, but the exact location of this facility was never fully transmitted. And so ended our first game of Inquisitor. What a f***ing ride it was. Honestly, these games' mechanics, while seeming pretty foreign to us at first, were a joy to use. And while I'm sure that we made a few errors here and there, the overall experience was one of unrivaled joy. Everyone got a chance to feel important. We were always testing the boundaries of what our characters could and couldn't do, and subsequently, we all walked away just eager for more, even if some of our characters lay dead. And we will definitely be playing more of this format, and I may look to provide a full playthrough of a mission down the line here on Live and Let's Dice. And I hope that you've been able to put up with this sort of phone footage, because we weren't actually planning to record this at all, but when we were there, we're just like, this has to be shared. And I hope it's given you an insight into not just the madness that is GW not supporting this format longer, but the true creativity that Doug put into this project. Thank you, mate. It was an absolute blast. I can't wait for more. All the head squishing. Yeah, let's do it. So there we go, my friends. I hope that you enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. Have you played Inquisitor? And if so, tell us some of your battle stories. I'd love to hear them. If not, and want to see more, let us know down there as well. And remember, friends, you can always support the channel by subscribing, becoming a member, or buying our lovely merch. Links are down in the description, as well as affiliate links to buy more hobby stuff and give a little kickback to the channel. We appreciate all that you do for us. Big love to you, my friend, and we'll see you soon. Bye.